Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Let's get back to Iraq. There's a couple of great articles that are out there. But like I said before, Iraq has a habit of cutting off its nose to spite its own face. There is potential to move forward and really grow as a country. But you got to keep in mind, the growth can't just be on one sector only, and I'm talking about the oil sector. It must develop other sectors of its country so that it can rely on other streams of income besides oil sales. We saw what happened in 2020 when oil prices dropped. It dang near bankrupted Iraq altogether. They are doing all the right things, taking all the right steps to prevent this from happening again, but they're not quite there yet. And these are the types of things that are affecting the Iraqi dinar. Let's go over this. Before we get started, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, right now is the time to buy. Go to our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. Okay, so like I stated before, let's look at some of the good news. I mean, it's out there every day. You can see things happening for Iraq. And a lot of these things could potentially affect the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar. Global economic data. Iraq will record the second highest growth rate in 2022. You want the growth rate to happen, you do. But it has to encompass more than just oil. It said forecasts prepared in April of 2022 showed that the global economy is expected to grow by 3.6% this year. And this comes in light of the pressures it is facing. The RT stations, quote, published data from the FMI and the World Economic Outlook, which indicated that 10 economies in the world are expected to grow at the highest pace in 2022, and the list includes 3 Arab countries. According to the graph by Statista, a German company specializing in market and consumer data, the Iraqi economy will grow at a rate of at least 9.5% this year and will rank second in the list after Ghana, which will lead the world's economy in growth as its economy is expected to grow by 47.2%. Good Lord, man. 47.2%. God, that's unbelievable. Iraq potentially will have great growth this year. But keep in mind how much better it would be if they could form a dang government and pass a budget. So good news. This article says the laws in force prevent Iraq from joining the World Trade Organization. We want them to join the World Trade Organization. This gives them access and priority as a member to do international trade. The more that Iraq is able to open up to the international world, the better the other sectors of its country can develop. This will strengthen the Iraqi dinar. Said the Ministry of Commerce on June the 3rd stated that the laws in force prevent Iraq from entering the World Trade Organization, while indicating a new vision for the country to join the organization. So they're trying to find exceptions or maybe change some laws. The ministry spokesperson said in a press interview that Iraq has been seeking for years to join the World Trade Organization, stressing the need to legislate laws that are compatible with the decision in which the organization operates. He added that the ministry is a government institution, like other ministries, subject to laws that prevent entry into this large organization, calling on the parliament to legislate laws during the coming period that are compatible with the organization's decisions. And now indicated that the Ministry of Commerce is working with the ministries to expedite Iraq's entry into the organization with a new vision, explained that the government's efforts is effective in saving time and harmonizing with the laws of the World Trade Organization. Now, I spoke about this a couple years ago. There is a push to get Iraq through the World Trade Organization. They were being expedited. I mean, you can assume why. There are a lot of people who want to use Iraq as a gateway into the Middle East. We know China wants to include them as part of their Silk Road. We know that the United States wants to use them as well. The big port right there in Iraq is very convenient for what it is they want to do. So it seems like they're on the verge of making it into the organization. A couple of tweaks are necessary before they can get in. This is good news. It says Iraq will raise its oil production by 456,000 barrels in the coming months, which means that's even additional revenue for Iraq. The Ministry of Oil revealed on Friday the size of the increase in Iraq's production after the OPEC Plus group agreed to raise production in the coming months of July and August by 456,000 barrels, while it indicated that the total volume of production in Iraq next month. The spokesperson of the Ministry of Oil said they're closely monitoring developments in the oil market and are reviewing reports in this regard in order to take measures to ensure the stability of high markets. And here should be noted the differentiation between export quantities and the quota established by OPEC Plus. The agreement is related to production, not exports. They definitely want to keep the value of oil high. This benefits OPEC. So the increase in production is about equivalent to 71,000 barrels per day, which will increase Iraq's total production of 4,580,000 barrels as of next July. Now, if you think supply and demand, it could actually affect the cost of oil. Sure, they'll get additional revenue, but this might cause the oil per barrel to go down because now there is more oil out there. And you can see right here, it says he added that any uncalculated increase will reflect negatively on global markets and lead to a decline in oil prices. And what the OPEC Plus countries, including Russia, you notice how it said including Russia, are working on is maintaining a balance between supply and demand and stability of global markets and minimizing their effects and repercussions and how to face these challenges and different circumstances. Let me translate that for you. How can we go ahead and increase the amount of oil production without causing the value per barrel to drop too much so that they can still gain monetarily? I spoke about this yesterday on the Vietnam Dong update. So there is going to be a slight increase in the value of the Vietnam Dong compared to the US dollar, but it really is small. It's insignificant almost. It's 0.5 to 1%. Most people won't even notice it. But as the dollar declines, and it will, that definitely will change. Love this article. The Kurds, yes, to the Al-Qadimi government. The Kurdistan Democratic Bloc announced on Sunday the vote in favor of the government of the Prime Minister-designate Al-Qadimi. Representative of the bloc, Karim, told the news. The Prime Minister-designated Al-Qadimi is an acceptable figure and at the same time enjoys wide relations and is working to form his government according to the constitutional period granted to him. The Kurds are supportive of Al-Qadimi and will vote yes for the government that he will present to the House of Representatives in a session of granting confidence to the government. And regarding the candidate for the Ministry of Finance, between Karim, that talks and dialogues are still continuing to resolve the ministry's candidate and present it with the ministry cabinets to the House of Representatives. Said the Kurdish blocs combined for 58 seats in the House Councils of Representatives. And the National Coalition, led by Alawi, announced earlier today, Sunday, that it would not vote for Al-Qadimi's government, as a special session was scheduled to be held in the region this week. The State Coalition, led by Maliki, has 26 seats, also will not vote yes. And the National Coalition bloc has officially 21 seats before it was exposed to splits and its members joined other blocs. For the government to obtain the confidence of Parliament, an absolute majority vote of 50 plus 1 of the number of members present, not the total numbers, is required to give confidence, but his chances in light of the mounting opposition seem difficult. So they're going to go ahead and make a push for a vote of confidence for Al-Qadimi to continue. I like the idea and I hope it passes. Also, we know that Kurdistan has their own elections coming up this next October. So there's a lot of talk about it and making sure that that election goes smoothly as well. So a report came out that said Assad dominated the parliament committees after the framework was unsuccessful in forming the government they wanted. It said a report by the London-based news stated that the coordination framework failed to achieve the ambition of the leaders of the Sadr's movement, noting that Sadr was able to invest his majority in dominating parliament committees and passing laws that favor him. The report, which was reviewed by the information, said that while the Shiite coordination framework, though its blocking third, was able to not achieve the ambition of the leaders of the Triple Alliance to complete the project of the national majority government, Sauder was recently able to invest his majority in dominated parliament committees and pass laws that are in his favor. Sauder, who remained committed to his Kurdistan partners, the Democratic Party as well as the Alliance of Sovereignty, was not able to gather the two-thirds majority needed to pass the candidate of the Democratic Party led by Barzani for the presidency, but he was able to exclude the coordination framework from competition in parliament. Days after passing a law criminalizing normalization with Israel, which even Sauder opponents voted on, Parliament is preparing to legislate another controversial law, the Emergency Food Security Support Law. And the report continued after the federal Supreme Court, which was attacked by Sauder, overturned the draft law on emergency support for food security and submitted by the government of Prime Minister al-Kadhimi on the pretext that it was the caretaker government. Sauder, through his majority in Parliament, was able to reintroduce it under the name a proposed law, which is within the competence of the Parliament. Very slick move by Sauder. Here it says that the Kurdistan Judicial Council refutes the decision of the federal court. It has no authority to counsel the oil and gas law in the region. So if you remember, the Supreme Court in Iraq overturned the gas and oil law, trying to strip Kurdistan of all of its rights to oil, claiming that it belongs to Baghdad government. But in this article, it goes back and forth in different sections of the Constitution in which Kurdistan's making its case. I went through all the different articles. The part that Kurdistan is really holding on to is there's a part of the Constitution that states all the laws pertaining to oil and gas are for those oil fields that are currently identified. So that does not cover future oil locations to have oil extracted from. That's the point that Kurdistan is making is, look, when we went into this agreement, it specifically states in here the present oil fields. That's it, the present oil fields. It doesn't say the present and all future oil fields. It just says the present. And that's what it is that Kurdistan is clinging on to. And it gets into bigger detail. We'll go over that a little bit later on. But this does affect what's going on over there in Iraq. In addition to that, one of the arguments that Kurdistan is making is that the Supreme Court, under their own constitution, has not been formed yet. Yeah, that the Supreme Court that's currently there does not have any authority under the Constitution. Yikes. And they point out where it says this. Right here, it says the statement concluded by saying that according to the Article 92/2 of the Iraqi Constitution, the Iraqi Parliament must issue a law to establish the Federal Supreme Court, adding that the law has not been issued yet. So in Iraq, there is no federal court that was formed in accordance with the Constitution, and the court that issued Resolution 15 on February 2022 with the aim of canceling the oil and gas law in Iraq's Kurdistan, with the aim of canceling the oil and gas laws in Iraq Kurdistan number 22 of 2007, has no constitutional authority, and that the oil and gas law in the Kurdistan region remains in force. So what are they talking about? Well, in the Constitution, Article 92, the second portion, which is right here, it says the Federal Supreme Court shall be made up of a number of judges, experts in Islamic jurisprudence, and legal scholars, whose number and the method of their selections and the work of the court shall be determined by the law enacted by a two-thirds majority of the members of the Council of Representatives. This is what they're saying has not been established. Therefore, they don't recognize the Supreme Court's decision. The Supreme Court was not made up properly. Therefore, it can't be recognized. And right here's the other part. Article 112, this first paragraph here. It says the federal government, with the producing governments and regional governments, shall undertake the management of oil and gas extracted from present fields. See, that's what Kurdistan's saying. Sure, you guys have control of the present fields, but that does not cover any future fields. So it's the wording that they're attacking, and that's really slick, to be honest with you. So a lot of the oil fields that they're talking about weren't even in existence at the time this Constitution was written. Therefore, they're not covered under this article. So does Kurdistan have a good case? It would seem. That's for sure. If you're looking at the wording, but their own scholars and legal experts are going to have to determine the meaning of their interpretation. You can't ask the Supreme Court because we know they're biased. But it does appear that Kurdistan has a good case. So we definitely want to get this issue squashed between Kurdistan and Baghdad. We don't need local tensions. Now, this last article here, there's an individual that is popping up that could put it into this political blockage. It says the interactions of the hour. The Democratic Party and the sovereignty joined the Sodarist movement for a special purpose. So there is a person named Kajrat Razul, and I'm sure I'm hacking up his name, but you get the idea. Is a return to the National Federation after a period of treatment abroad. Razul's return will have an impact and momentum on the political scene. The return of Razul will strengthen the position of the National Union and contribute to resolving the blockage. The guarantor third is the exercise of constitutional right. Birth of the third alignment is the best solution to end the blockage. The Iraqi citizen does not bear more complications. The Democratic and sovereign parties joined the Sodarist movement for a special purpose. A political research said during a televised interview, the Sodarist movement will not back down from the position of the majority government. Sadr wants to form a government, but he does not have enough representatives. Movement provided that everyone agrees. The vision of the frame has changed in the past few days. The framework wants to put forward a new initiative in the coming days. Razul's strong relations with Barzani may contribute to resolving differences. But this last sentence here is funny. It says, we are afraid of reaching what is not bad for the future. Why the hell would you be afraid of reaching something that's not bad? So this Razul person could help put it into the blockage and help Sadr achieve his goal of a majority government, getting the candidates in that they want, passing the budget, and finally Iraq moving forward. And all the different sectors getting the funding needed so that they can start expanding. Thank goodness. Anyways, that's it for now. You guys hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.